Hello, my name is Lauren Hertzler. I'm a physical therapist with Excel Rehab and Sports, and today we're talking about whether or not there's a right and a wrong way to jump. So a lot of people can jump well, but how you land is very important for knowing whether or not we're going to prevent injury. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the number one thing is being able to have a good squat. If you don't have a good squat, you're likely not going to be jumping well. Or, again, maybe you can jump really high, but you're probably not landing your jump very well. So first thing is when we're squatting, you want to have a good bend in the knees and the hips. You want to make sure that we're kind of getting the same bend in both. A lot of people like to push forward with their knees or get too much of that hip bend, but we need an equal amount of both. We also need a good amount of ankle bend. And so if you're having any issues with these, those might be areas of flexibility to work on. The other thing is that when we're bending at the knees, we want to make sure that those knees go and point over the toes, as far as your knees are pointing in the same direction as your toes. So if they cave in, they're not pointing the right direction. If we happen to have a little bit of toeing out, we want to make sure those knees fall over the toes. And this again can be very important for preventing injury. And the last thing is when we go into the squat, making sure that your core is nice and strong. That way we don't have a floppy back, because that can mess with your ability to produce power, and it also can lead to back injury with our landing. So once you have a good squat, then we know we can work towards the jumping. So all a jump is it starts with a good squat, you jump in the air, get full extension, and then you land with a good squat. So as long as you're able to follow all of that, again, we can prevent injury. When we're landing a jump, it's kind of like being a good shock absorber, like in cars. You want to be able to absorb all that force. If we're not absorbing that force, again, that's where we can kind of cause injury, either to your ankle, knee, hips, or even your back. So when we're landing, it's going to be kind of opposite of when jumping or going in the air. So when you jump, don't forget your arms to help propel you, but you're gonna kind of extend at your hips, knees, and ankles, and the toes will be the last thing to leave the ground. And then when you land, toes will be the first thing to hit the ground. And then you're gonna come down, bending at the knees and hips, and potentially coming down to your full flat foot. So how much control you have will help you figure out whether or not you're absorbing force. So one good cue to know whether or not you're absorbing the force is how quiet you land. If you're making a lot of noise with landing, you're probably not absorbing that force very well. So now that we've reviewed how to squat, jump, and land, now we want to know, why is this important? Because a lot of research shows that when you land, you actually have to withstand 3 to 5 times your body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you have to withstand at least 600 pounds of force. Or if you're 100 pounds, you have to withstand at least 300 pounds of force. That is a lot of weight. So that is why that landing is so important, because again, it's a lot of force you have to absorb. The key is knowing quality over quantity. So if you're starting off kind of as a beginner, or even if you're just trying to learn these mechanics well, start off with no more than 40 jumps in one session. Also know if you're having pain while doing this probably isn't a good thing to work on, but if you're not having pain with squats, then you can keep working on squat form before progressing to that jump. And if you continue to have pain either with your squat or jump, then this might be a good time to try to call a physical therapist and kind of get some advice on how to get a little bit better with this.